This is Rock and Roll English. Real people, real English. Here's your host, Martin Johnston.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll English. Episode number 207, baby. Oh yeah. In today's episode we have a run through of the wedding, the big day. So when I say a run through, I mean that we have a look at it. We talk about everything that happened, basically. I actually wanted to record some stuff on the day of the wedding, like I did for Corporal Comer's wedding last year, where I recorded various conversations throughout the day. But this time, I was a little bit more stressed than I was for Corporal Comer's wedding. Admittedly, even Corporal Comer's wedding, I was stressed, but I was a bit more stressed this time, so I didn't really want to add any extra stress of having to record conversations, so nothing was recorded on the day. So what I did was I spoke to substitute Sabrina, and she said to me, let me know how the wedding went. So I thought I would call her, tell her about the day and record the conversation for you, because that's what Rock and Roll English is all about, isn't it? Real English, real people, all that kind of stuff, like real friends talk in real life. You know, substitute Sabrina and I are real friends in real life. So you just listen to our conversation. Some of the others from the podcast were actually at the wedding: Boom Boom, Corporal Comer, the Hellraiser, PT Teach. But as they were there, it wouldn't really make much sense for me to talk to them and talk about how it went, because, you know, they were there, they know. So I talked to substitute Sabrina. You may also notice that my voice is quite tired, probably even now, and especially throughout the podcast. That's because it's been a pretty intense period for me. Not just the day of the wedding, but before and after. I had lots of my friends and family here, lots of going out. I think I've been out more times in the last week than I have in the last 2 years. That's why the podcast wasn't ready for Monday. Apologies for that. I recorded this podcast actually on Monday, so that's why you're listening to it on Tuesday. I did mention that on social media, though, yesterday for you. I mentioned there would be a podcast today. So if you don't follow me, make sure you do, okay? Because for me, all of it is just one thing. Facebook, Instagram, the podcast, it's just my way to communicate with you, okay? So please make sure you do follow me on them channels, because often I communicate things. Anyway, as usual, in these kind of episodes, the episode is very long. Too long, in fact, for a normal Monday episode. So the first half is for everyone to listen to, and the second half was just going to be for the Rock and Roll English family, which will be out on Thursday. But as I'm feeling it especially generous at the moment, because when you get married, you kind of spend lots of money, don't you? And, you know, just you're more generous than usual. Well, I certainly am, because as you know, I don't like spending money. So the podcast will be for everyone on Thursday. So there will be another episode on Thursday, okay? There will be some extra things for the family members, but everyone will be able to listen to all of this conversation. So here is the episode. There is lots of RnR vocabulary, so get ready for that. Remember, it's on the website, rockandrollenglish.com/episode 207. I will speak to you all again at the end. Happy listening. Substitute Sabrina, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Mr. Married Man?
Yeah, all right. It does feel a bit strange, I must admit. But yeah, in fact, you know what? I'm all over the place. So when you're all over the place, you're confused, because I actually forgot to respond. Always fantastic. Maybe now I'm married, I'm not always fantastic. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work.
You'll be fantastic. Don't worry.
Good to know. Thanks for the reassurance. Anyway, substitute Sabrina, how do we usually start the show?
With the review.
Do you think we have a review?
I'm pretty sure we do.
I think we do, but I've just forgotten to write it on my show notes stuff.
Of course you did, because you were busy with your wedding.
Exactly. And as I mentioned, I'm a bit still all over the place. My head is still spinning a little bit. So I believe we do, but unfortunately, I haven't got it to hand, as we say. So I haven't got it in front of me. So we will do that next time. So today's episode is basically me telling a friend, substitute Sabrina, what happened at the wedding, because this is what rock and roll English is all about, stories, talking to friends. So basically all the rock and rollers can just listen to the conversation. Is that all right with you, substitute Sabrina?
Oh, it's perfect. I've been waiting for this all weekend. I want to know what happened.
Okay, well, we are going to go into details, okay?
Awesome.
So obviously it makes sense to start at the start. That's always a good thing to do, isn't it? So I thought we could start on Thursday, the day before the wedding. A few things happened there. I was obviously pretty busy. When you get close to the wedding, I thought everything was organised. Like, you have photographer, you have the venue. So the venue is the place where you go after the wedding. But then when you get closer, they ask like all of these stupid details. Like, you have to send me the name and surname of everyone. You have to tell me who's sitting on what table. And then I was picking people up from the airport. Some people dropped out at the last minute. So when you drop out, it's when you say, I can't come anymore, because they had some personal problems. So then you have to reshuffle the tables. So to reshuffle, to like move people around again. And on top of all of this, it was my niece's birthday, right? So she's 8. So that's a big, when you're 8, that's like the height of birthday madness, isn't it?
Of course. You should have gotten a wedding coordinator.
Oh, I'm not fucking paying for a wedding coordinator. What do you think I am? Made of money?
Well, it would have been less stress on you.
It would have definitely been less stressful, but there's no way I'm the type of person that pays for a wedding planner or anything like that.
Oh, yeah, I know. But anyway, get on.
So that was definitely like not an option. So yeah, went to my niece's birthday. That was all great. Came back, had a few more jobs to do, and then when I had to say goodbye to Mrs. Rock and Roll English, because obviously we couldn't sleep in the same room, same place.
Obviously.
So that was probably at about 7:00 on Thursday, and that's when the nerves started really kicking in, and I started thinking, fuck, this is real. This is the real deal.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy talking about it. Let's get married. Fine. Yeah, no problem. But then when it actually gets to that moment, I was thinking, oh, fuck, this is actually really happening now.
There was no turning back. Yeah. You had your last chance.
Exactly. Nice vocabulary there. Turning back, like saying, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Obviously that wasn't really an option anymore. So I went to this apartment that I had rented, because obviously I had to stay somewhere else. A big, luxurious apartment, because I thought I'll get ready there with my friends the day of the wedding, and then on the night of the wedding I'll bring Mrs. Rock and Roll English there. We can have a nice romantic night in this luxurious apartment by the sea. I brought Boom Boom with me on the Thursday night, just so I wasn't there alone.
So you had to test out all the things like the bed or something.
Well, it wasn't like me and Boom Boom were testing it out later for like this. I wasn't doing the same thing with Boom Boom that I was planning on doing with Mrs. Rock and Roll English.
I hope not.
So no, I actually made him sleep on the couch for that reason, because the wedding bed had to be ready for the action.
Exactly.
The next night. So I put Boom Boom on the couch. And then we went to get some food and made the first stupid decision of the whole wedding day kind of stuff. We just went to the nearest place, which was a kebab shop. And then we said, let's just bring the food back to the apartment. And we came back to the apartment. The air conditioning was on quite high because it was obviously very hot. And then afterwards, we realised that the room just stank like a kebab shop.
Of course. You know that was going to happen.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that, though. And then even the next morning, when you switched on the air conditioning, it was just like shooting out the smell of kebab still. And I remember thinking, oh, God, Mrs. Rock and Roll English is going to fucking kill me when she...
Oh, yeah.
I thought, why did I do that? That was such a stupid thing. And then we couldn't switch on the air conditioning because obviously we didn't want to smell of kebabs.
So you were sweating the whole time?
There was a lot of sweating going on.
Jesus.
So yeah, me and Boom Boom had our like kebab, and then in like the square, all of my friends and family, all of the English people were there basically eating, drinking. And the big question was for me to drink or not to drink? You know, similar to Shakespeare's question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, should I drink? And I thought, I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to drink anything because I want to be on like tip-top form. So there's a nice expression. I want to be in my best, like physical condition for the wedding. So I just went and said hello to a few people. They all stayed out, and then I said, right, I'm going to go back and work on my speech. I went to bed at about 2:30, which was when Boom Boom got in, and thought, right, I'm really tired now. I'm just going to fall asleep immediately. And for the next 3 to 4 hours, I did a lot of just moving around from the left to the right, tossing and turning, I think that is the expression.
Yep, tossing and turning.
Yeah.
All the nerves.
So when you basically can't sleep and you try to change position thinking, is this going to work? And then at about, nearly 6 o'clock in the morning, I just thought, fuck this, I'm getting up. So I did not sleep a wink, as we say, not even 1 second.
Wow.
And anyone that knows me knows I love my sleep. I cannot function without sleep.
Oh, yeah, you're a grouch if you haven't gotten your sleep.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So a grouch is someone like very, angry, miserable. So that's just what you want for your wedding day, isn't it? To wake up feeling grouchy.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure you must be famous now in the town because all these English people were there. They probably thought it was like a VIP in town getting married or something.
I'm not sure if they thought that. One thing, though, because the tradition in England is you have your groomsmen, we call them. So, like, we also call them ushers, best man, and you all dress the same. And we also had a page boy that was dressed the same as us.
Oh, how cute.
A page boy is the person that carries the rings, which was like one of my best friend's sons. And my dad was there as well, dressed the same as us. So when we walked from the apartment to the church the next day, I think there was like 6 of us all dressed the same. Yeah, we were getting a lot of looks. It was very much like many people coming out on the balcony.
Oh, yeah.
And just looking. Which was it was a strange feeling, I must admit. So the next day, so the day of the wedding now, because we didn't get married till 4:30, so I still had some time in the morning. Had to do a few more jobs. Then at about 11 o'clock, I lied down for a bit, just nodded off. So when you nod off, it's just when you fall asleep. And then I just heard, oh, for fuck's sake.
Who the hell was it?
It was the guy delivering the flowers, because you had to put we had to put flowers like on our suit jackets.
Okay.
And I just thought, just God does not want me to sleep on my wedding. It's just it's just impossible. Then all the boys arrived, like Corporal Coma, the Hellraiser, my dad, my brother. Obviously, Boom Boom was there. And then the photographer came as well. And this is like 1 o'clock, right? And remember, we're getting married at 4:30. And he said, okay, so just get changed now. And I was like, it's 1 o'clock. I don't want to put my suit on and my shirt and tie at 1 o'clock.
Well, he had to take some pictures of you guys.
And wait till 4:30. I was just like, that's just not happening. I'm not standing in a suit. And he said, okay, well, just put your suit on, then take it off. I said, I'm not doing that. Are you crazy, man?
Well, you paid him to take pictures, no?
Well, yeah, but then he just took some pictures of us just sitting around drinking a few beers.
Typical English guys, drinking some beers.
You got a real wedding feel. Just shorts and t-shirt, drinking a few beers. It was real wedding-y. I've just made that word up, by the way. I also didn't want to put my suit on because the place smelt of kebabs. So I thought, if I put my suit on now, Mrs. RnR, when she sees me in church, is going to say, why do you smell of kebabs?
But didn't you have the suit in there when you brought in the kebab?
The suit was in the bedroom, though, locked away in the cupboard. So the bedroom door had to stay closed.
So it didn't get any smell.
So it didn't get any smell, exactly.
Okay.
So it was locked away in there. So then, the photographer's just taken a few pictures of us. And he said the thing, which is just the craziest thing. He's just said, just be normal, okay? Be normal. And when someone says to you, be normal, it's actually really difficult to be normal.
Because that camera is on you all the time, and
And it was like, just talk normally, and you're thinking, what do I normally talk about again? I've just forgotten how to be a human for a little bit.
And you had to keep it clean.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that as well. So then we all got ready. There was a lot of confusion about how to put the flowers on the suit. That caused a bit of confusion. Then, as I said, we walked to the church. I mean, it was only about 300 meters, but when it's like nearly 40 degrees outside,
oh shit,
and you're walking under the sun, with a shirt, a waistcoat, jacket, tie done up, it's pretty warm.
And your hair that is long probably was sticking to your forehead.
Oh, that's the pictures are going to be awful. I'm sure of it for that exact reason. So then we got to the church, and I must admit at this point I was very calm. I think I was too tired to be emotional at this point, and so everyone was waiting. Said hello to family and friends. And then that music starts, and you think, "Oh God, here we go." But even then, I was still fine. I thought, "I'm ready. I'm prepared. I'm a man. This is fine." And then I saw Mrs. RnR, and then had something in my eye.
Oh, how cute! He got emotional.
I think it was just the allergy for this time of year.
Sure it was.
Yeah, and a few tears started coming down my face. But like I said, just that analogy. Obviously, I was hoping she would be crying, but she was just smiling. She was fine, and I was thinking, oh God.
Nah, she can't cry because all the makeup would have smeared and everything. No. She had to keep calm.
Yeah, she managed it. She pulled it off. So when you pull it off, you do it well, basically. Nice vocab as well from Substitute Sabrina there. The makeup smears, like it becomes all horrible, basically. Just think about makeup and crying, and then you understand the word.
All the mascara coming down your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a good moment when I saw her in the church, and then she obviously come next to me, gave her a kiss, and all that. And then it was like the reality set in of like it is fucking really, really hot.
So you weren't wearing any masks?
Well, that's a kind of That's a good point. Well, the bride and groom, so me, obviously, and Mrs. RnR, they said to us before, you don't need to wear a mask, don't worry.
Okay.
But everybody else, like the priest and everybody else, has to wear a mask.
Good.
But we said, Mrs. RnR's dad, obviously, when he walked in with her, they said he doesn't have to wear a mask there, but when he goes and sits down, he does have to wear a mask. And at the beginning, I think everyone did have it on, but then lots of masks did come off because it was very hot. But we were distanced because each bench, of the church, normally, I don't know, you get 10 people on, but you could only get 3 people on each one.
You mean in the pew?
Is that what it's called? Is that the official word of the bench where you sit in church?
If I remember my Catholic school days, which I did go to Catholic school, even though I'm an atheist. But anyway, yes, it's a pew.
Okay, so the pew, so that we were spaced out on the pews, because I just don't think people could handle the heat with the mask. That was the problem, and I was the same. I was literally dripping with sweat. At one point, I actually felt it drip off my nose, which was great. Mrs. RnR wanted to hold my hand, and I said to her, "That's not a good idea. My hand is just completely drenched. So if it's drenched, it's just completely
slimy."
Wet. Exactly. Then we got to the vows. So the vows are in Italian, they call them promises when you say I, Martin, take you to be my blah, blah, blah. And again, so when we'd practiced these, because you obviously have to know what you're saying, every time we practiced it, if we practiced it at home, in the car, at the beach, Mrs. RnR cried every time we practiced it. I never cried, right? We get to the church. She doesn't cry, not at all. And I kind of had a little. It was very embarrassing. I did a lot of pauses, so it was I, Martin, take you.
I can't believe I missed it. Oh man.
Well, I said to her, I only cried because I thought she was going to cry, so I wanted to make her feel good. But
sure you did. It was your emotions. You're a sensitive kind of guy, even though you're Mr. Rock and Roll.
But she just left me hanging. So if you leave someone hanging, you sort of you abandon them. I said let's cry, but she didn't cry. I think the problem was she made me do them in English. because she said then it will have more significance for you, which I must admit was true, because if I had said it in Italian, it would have just been foreign words. These don't mean anything to me.
Did she do it in English?
No, she did it in Italian. I did it in English.
Ah, okay. Good.
So you could both feel the emotion, which
Exactly.
obviously I felt it more. So yeah, managed to get through the service. So get through it, survive it just about without dying. My shirt at this point was completely soaked through, so it was just completely wet. So I thought I can't even take my jacket off now, because then everyone can see that my shirt is just completely wet. So then we went to this in the square right in front of the church, had a few drinks there, which was good. Definitely needed a few of them. Then we had to go off with the photographer and take some photos, and this was the embarrassing part. The photographer's just look at each other in the eye, give her a kiss, hold hands, put your chest on her chest, and I was just saying to her, what is this? This is just very, very uncomfortable.
Because they have to catch those romantic moments.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see how these photos are. Obviously, I've not seen them yet. But it was strange.
Looking forward to seeing them in the future.
Yeah. Well, all that we've got at the moment are photos, because when we were posing for photos, when you pose for it, it's when you prepare yourself. Obviously, you're looking at the photographer, but everyone else is taking photos around. So we've got photos where we're not looking at the camera, because we were looking at the photographer's camera and not the other people's cameras. So I am looking forward to seeing one where we do look at the camera. Then we went to the wedding venue. We got one of those Volkswagen vans for the hippies in the 60s.
Oh, wow. Nice.
We got one of them, which was a great choice. It did look great. Problem was no air conditioning. Because obviously...
Oh, man. Wrong choice.
Because obviously it's like a vintage car. So from the outside, it looked great. From the inside, could have been cooler. Let's put it that way.
It made you even more slimier than you were.
Exactly. Although I must admit, when it started driving, you at least had the wind coming in. But I think it only went about 10 miles an hour. That was the problem. And there were
So it took you 2 hours to get up there?
Almost, because there were quite a lot of hills, because we did get the venue was up in the mountain a little bit. At one point I thought, we're going to get out and start pushing this van up the hill in a minute. But
nice.
Managed that. So then we got to the venue, and this is when the DJ started to piss me off, because...
So wait a minute, what time was it now when you're at the venue?
I think it was probably about 8 o'clock now, because
wow.
So we'd been for a drink and some photos, and then we went to the venue. So it was about 8 o'clock now, and the DJ seemed to arrive at the same time we did, which was great. So everyone that was waiting there before would basically wait in there in silence. So that's just what you want. He put on the wrong song that we had asked him to put on for the entrance, which was great. And I just sort of looked at him. The thing is, I'm not really the type of person that can just say to someone, "What the fuck are you doing?" Even if I'm paying them, I was like, I gave him a bit of a look, what the hell is this?
Did he understand it was the wrong one, or he just kept playing it?
Luckily, Mrs. RnR is more of a man than me, and then so she said, "What are you doing? This is the wrong song." And then luckily she sorted it out. Okay, so when she sorted it out, she resolved the problem. So then we sat down, started eating, and then that's when the speeches happened, which Substitute Sabrina played a massive part in, as we know. So we had a projector. Again, the DJ was supposed to do that. He hadn't put it there, so that came on a bit late. And we did it after every course. So we had something to eat, and then it was Mrs. R&R's dad. Then we had another plate, then it was me.
Oh, cool.
And
okay.
so just to try and break it up a bit. So because when you go to a wedding, sometimes the general tradition is to do it at the end of the dinner. But that can go on quite a long time if you've got quite a few speeches. So yeah, that was really good. Mrs. R&R's one brought a few tears. Again, bit of a tear to my eye as well, because the problem is he started saying really nice things about me, he's a great person, hard worker, stuff like this. I just don't know how to take a compliment. I'm much better at insults. If someone says some horrible things about me, tells me to fuck off, I'm fine. I'm totally fine with that. It's when someone says nice things about me, I just don't know what to do.
I know. When I was doing the translation, I was crying myself.
Okay, that's good to know. I wasn't the only one then. So that was really good. Then I did my speech. Okay, so we're going to leave it there for now, but remember there will be another episode on Thursday where I tell you about my speech and what all of the Italian people thought of the speeches, because, normally at Italian weddings they don't do speeches. We talk about the disaster of cutting the cake, how drunk I was, the first dance, which, as you know, I was a bit anxious about, a car crash. Yes, you heard that correctly. There was a car crash, and I tell you about that. I tell you about my thoughts on the ring and hairy fingers. So make sure you tune in again on Thursday for part 2. So anyway, let's have a look at the rock and roll vocabulary from today's episode. In the intro, I said we were going to have a run through of the wedding. So a run through, like a detailed explanation. I said I'm all over the place. So if you're all over the place, you're still basically confused and don't know what's going on. I said that I haven't got the review to hand. So when you have something to hand, you have it in front of you. We had the word the venue. So the venue is where you get married, you get married officially in the church normally. Or you can sometimes get married at the venue, normally like where you eat. We had the term drop out when I said people dropped out at the last minute. So they were coming and then at the last minute they weren't coming. I said we had to reshuffle the tables after this. So we had to change where people were sitting to do it again, to reshuffle things. I said that my nerves started kicking in when I had to say goodbye to Mrs. RnR. So when they kick in, it's like when you really start to feel them. And then substitute Sabrina said there was no turning back from that point. There was no saying, I don't think I'm going to do this. Goodbye. I said I wanted to be on tip-top form, which is just a nice expression to say top form, basically. I also said I didn't sleep and I did a lot of tossing and turning. So when you can't sleep, that's exactly what you do. And an expression for I didn't sleep is I didn't sleep a wink. Substitute Sabrina said I'm a grouch if I don't sleep. So a grouch is someone that's just angry, miserable. You can describe them, the adjective is grouchy. We had the word groomsmen, which are like ushers, best man, stuff like this. Everyone dressed the same. Like Corporal Combe and the Hellraiser Boom Boom were my groomsmen, for example. We also had the term page boy, which is the person that carries the rings, the little boy usually. I said that I nodded off for a bit. When you nod off, it's just when you close your eyes and you just fall asleep for a little bit. Substitute Sabrina mentioned how Mrs. RnR's makeup would have smeared. So when it smears, it's like when it goes all horrible. When you cry, makeup, that's what it happens. Crying, makeup equals smear. Okay. I then said that Mrs. RnR pulled it off. Okay. She was able to do it. She was able to not cry. I said that my hand was drenched. So if something is drenched, it's very wet. We had the term the vows, the wedding vows, the promises, whatever you want to call them. I also said that Mrs. RnR left me hanging because, I thought she was going to cry. So I cried for her and she didn't cry for me. So if you leave someone like that, you abandon them, you can say you left them hanging. I said that I got through the service. I survived. My shirt was soaked through, so it was completely wet. And then I said she sorted out the problem with the DJ. So when you sort it out, it's like when you resolve it, basically. So remember, there will be another episode on Thursday where we talk about my speech, the car crash, my hairy fingers, the first dance, and lots more. Okay, so I will see you all on Thursday, people. But in the meantime, just keep on rocking, baby.
Thanks so much for listening to Rock and Roll English. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit rockandrollenglish.com and facebook.com/rockandrollenglish. We'll catch you next time.